Hey, my name's Eric, and I'm making faces that you can talk to. So there's different parts of accomplishing this. There's animating the faces. I've done that. There is having like a set of interactive dialogue defined with different paths that are followed if different things happen. I've got like a system for doing that seems to work pretty well. And then there's recognizing speech from the person who's talking to the character and using that to trigger different paths in the interactive storytelling. So I'm going to demo something that I did yesterday, and then after a little bit, a few minutes of demoing, I will get to work on the next piece of this thing. All right, let's demo. All right, so what's this? This is the animated face, but it actually has nothing to do with what I'm going to demo. It's just when you make a test app, and you got a whole bunch of stuff on there, it does different things. This is that app, and I'm carving out like production-ready parts of it out into different containers, libraries. I've actually got the bulk of the source for this released in these libraries over here. So if you go to my GitHub account, EricH2000, that's the handle. And there's some libraries underneath that you can basically see how I'm writing the code that does the stuff that I'm working on in this session. And it's all open source. Now this, I guess I'll call it the face authoring app, which is sort of my test app. That's under development. That's not open sourced yet. At some point I will open source it. Okay, so going back to the app. Yesterday I added this big button. Okay, first I'll play the audio.
Could you stay over here?
Right, he says, could you stay over here? I'll clear this console out. Okay, now if I click find words, what it's going to do is it's going to analyze using a speech recognition library. It's going to analyze the audio within this WAV file.
Could you stay over here?
And return the positions of individual words inside of that. So I'll click this now. All right, after about 2 seconds, it output to the console this word timings array. If I just look at that, I can see, could you stay over here? Those are the 5 recognized words from that audio file. And then it has their times in milliseconds. So this is like an offset 60 milliseconds from the beginning of the WAV file is the word could, and that word ends 180 milliseconds in. And likewise for all these. And there are gaps in between the words I can see. So could you is kind of like right next to each other, those two words. So 180, the end time is also the start time of the next word. But maybe there's a little bit of a gap after you before stay. Could you stay over here? And there's gaps on these other words except over here. So anyways, it's found the positions of these words. Why do I want that? It's one input that goes into a new algorithm I want to create that will automatically generate the mouth animations. The mouth animations you see when I click on this button,
could you stay over here?
Were authored by hand. I did them all.
Careful of the ice, ma'am.
We go to the promised land?
Ugh, I know.
I'm very proud of you. Have you read the book?
So all those and more, I spent maybe 80 hours or so hand animating. And it was actually a pretty streamlined process to come up with that lip timing. It was the third or fourth version of a tool that I created for authoring the lip animations called Lips. That's also open source on my GitHub page. This is going to be the next iteration of it. And I aim to make it so that it creates a pretty reasonable, fully automated lip animation. And my algorithm is based upon things I know about processing audio, things I know about speech recognition, and importantly, things I know about hand animating the lip movements myself. That last bit is missing from other approaches that I've seen. So I've ran different automated things where it'll listen through and find the phonemes and then assign a viseme to it. There's a little more to it than what they've been doing. And I believe speech recognition is the secret sauce, because instead of just detecting the phonemes within the audio, if you have the actual words, then you can add phonemes that were not actually detectable just from the audio alone. It seems a little unintuitive, maybe, because it seems like, you know, if you are detecting the phonemes for the purpose of speech recognition, wouldn't those same phonemes be perfectly suitable to use directly for lip animation? Yes and no. There's an element of stylization in the finished product of the lip animation. And to do it correctly, you need to know the word that was intended to be said, or the word that all those phonemes are part of making, because then you can represent more strongly the sounds that are part of that word. And even if the actual audio didn't utter the phoneme in question, the human mind will be able to understand the lip animation better if something is used to fill in that missing phoneme and maybe display it more prominently than if you purely went by phoneme detection. So that's why all this. So I spent a lot of time talking. I want to get to work now. Today what I'm going to do is convert this little console log thing here, which isn't that fun to look at, not that useful, into a display of the wave samples with markers on it to show where the speech detection says the words are at. And that visualization of the wave will be a tool that I'll use as I continue working on this algorithm for fully automated lip animation. Okay. So I'm not starting from nothing on this. I've got a React component called Wave Visualizer. And I believe I put it inside of UE. Yeah, Waveform Visualizer. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll import that component. I mean, honestly, I should almost just start a whole different screen, but I don't want to bite off that right now. Okay, so I got the Waveform Visualizer. The canvas. Let's put the Waveform Visualizer here. Okay, you need samples. init could return samples. Let's see. Let's have a return. Samples, set samples, choose state. Right. Yeah. Okay. Sample set, or null. Set to null initially. Const word timings. Set word timings equals use state. Word timing. I gotta do an import for that. Let's see. Let's make sure I get the import correct. Go back over to speech. Oh, I don't think I exported it. Okay. Although it's easily correctable. Default as I wanted to change this to, let's call it word time extractor. You know what another word for a collection of timings is? A timeline. Default is word timeline extractor. Okay, that'll be the name. Okay, and we'll rename this. And then let's just create another type, export type, word timeline equals, and it's just going to be word timing. Okay. This will be word timeline. Return. Actually, this can get rid of that. think that's right. I don't think I need to have that inside of an object. I don't think that helps anything. Okay. This will be word timeline. And let's just call this extract word timeline from audio. Or extract word timeline. There we go. Or, since the class is already called word timeline extractor, extract. There we go. I like that. And let's be consistent with the name. And that must be word timeline extractor. Okay, let me explain why I do this. And will trigger the, okay, let's put this thing, hack, will trigger the result callback, look for an update post 0.0.7 in Vosk browser for a better fix. Okay, just got to remind myself to come back and do that. Although this is really a pretty decent hack, like it doesn't have any real downside to it other than a little bit of extra CPU. Okay, then I need to go back to index.ts and also export word timing and word timeline. Really? You're saying you don't? Re-export in a type requires using export. Okay, let me just see if I can import. Okay, and then export word timing. No, it doesn't like that. Okay. It's going to generate the types though, right? Let's build this. See how it does. Yeah, run. Okay, that will break a few things. Go back to web pace. Let's see what broke. Word timeline. Extractor. Extractor. this word timeline as word. I just don't understand where I'm supposed to get this type from if it doesn't want to export it. Huh. Do I have any other examples of types that got exported that I can import into here? Recognizer. Export type. Let me see. What else? No, something from just this project. Let's see. So no, I don't have any examples of export types. What about interfaces? Let me see if those are something I can use. iString callback, iEmpty callback. Well, I didn't export them explicitly though. Let me see if I can. Export. Oh, types. Okay, it's going to complain about the same thing? Yeah, it is. Oh, wait, is it like this? Export type? That's how I do it. Okay, got it. You know, it told me right there too, which is kind of cool. If I would have just listened. Word timeline, word timing from all right. So that might work. What do you mean? Unused export specifier. Okay, show me. Let's see, you're saying. I hate that little symbol because I always forget which combination of keys produces it. And you can never look it up on Google because it's a symbol. Like Prince's name, the new name. Oh, are you saying if I just did an export, that would take care of it? That wouldn't do anything. What are you talking about? What's your fix? I don't get it. No, I don't want rollback changes in the current line. Yeah. That's so weird. This UI, like it feels like I could go down and click things on that, but as soon as you leave, yeah. Anyways, I think it's a benign problem, whatever it is. So let's build this again. I know that I need that export in order for these guys to be visible in the other project. If I take that out, they will not be. Okay, so that built. Let's come back over here. Okay, what about this? Word timeline equals extractor extract. Okay. Okay, so it does bring in a type. That's good. What? How could it be undefined? No, I don't think that's right. Come on. Extract, promise word timeline. Oh. Why are you... God, that's so irritating. Okay. Const word timeline. What was that? Call this word, set word timeline. Set samples. Okay, all of that should be fine. All right, use state, and then this will be word timeline. Okay. Now, you need samples. Okay, what else do you need? Begin sample no equals 0. End sample no equals samples length. Okay, what else? Oh, okay, we'll say const waveform equals samples equals null. Just say not samples. Null or that. Okay, what? Oh yeah, that's right. This will have to be something else. Start. Let's call it extract. And then we'll pass in set samples, set word timeline. It's a problem with being so finicky with names is you end up renaming everything 5 million times. Okay, so then let's fix other things I renamed. Extract. Okay, and then for set state, this is word timeline. And this is set word timeline. Okay. Now what? You need something else, right? Amplitude markers, block markers, class name time markers. All those are required. Okay. Kind of weird I made all of this required. What was I thinking? Block. No, I did. I made them all required. Do I have any code that says if it's not defined, don't mess with it? Nope. Okay. I think the easiest thing is let's do another set state. I'll create like a new type that will just have all the marker info. Markers, set markers. It's going to be, these markers are just things that are drawn on top of the waveform. Okay. Oh, these are going to be a little bit tough. Let me just grab them all and move them over. Okay. Block markers. Time markers. Amplitude markers. Those are the three. Okay. Okay, it's smart enough to figure out the casting there. Okay, function. The other one will be create markers from I'm going to say timelines because later on there's going to be multiple timelines applied, but for now only the word timeline will be passed in. Okay, so this will be word timeline. Then I will also need sample rate. Sample rate. And sample count. What will return? Markers. Okay. amplitude markers equals markers, amplitude markers. What else? Block markers. Okay, now what? Now what do you want? Class name. That's the only one. Class name equals Z. What's going on? Class name equals styles. Waveform. Okay. Go to here. Waveform. Box 1 with 100%. Okay. So got that. Need to do another use effect. I'll say that it's triggered off of markers. Const next markers equals create markers from timelines. And we pass in. No, it's not dependent on markers. It's dependent on the word timeline. We pass in the word timeline. I'm also going to need the sample rate, which has to be passed back from the loaded audio. I'll just say sample rate for now. And samples length. So let's do samples, sample rate. It's going good. I'm just pushing along, getting a little bit of work done each day. Boom. All right, so sample rate needs to be set here. Go to extract. Sample rate, number, and then I can do better for this. This is going to be, oh wait, no, this is not the value. It's a setter. So I'll stick with any because these are function calls. Set samples, set sample rate. And this is going to be audio buffer, sample rate. Like that. Okay. So then what happens? So the user clicks the button and that causes the extract method to be called, or function to be called. It's going to pass in setters for the sample array, sample rate, and the word timeline. The extract function, what it will do, it'll make sure that the language models are loaded for the extractor. It will load an audio buffer from a WAV file at a URL. It will find the position of words inside of the audio buffer. Call these setters, which essentially is the glue between this function, which is outside of the React component, and that React component. I can take out this console log. Okay. So then, that means that this use effect will get called because word timeline samples and sample rate was set. Let's see. Let's make this not be or null. And let's make this be a number. Okay. Samples length. Okay, so we'll say if not samples, just return. That was a good catch that the IDE found for me, actually. Okay, it's also telling me, oh look, the next markers isn't actually being used for anything, which is another good warning. So I say set markers. Yeah, the way to make this IDE really do work for you is to pay attention to every little gripe that it throws your way. Take them all seriously and either disable them or address them. Okay, and it's right, I haven't implemented this function yet, so that's the next thing to do. Okay, so what kind of marker do I want to use? I've got 3 types. I'm trying to remember what they all do. There's a time marker, that's probably one I want. Amplitude is going to be like a flat line. Horizontal line. Time marker will be vertical. Block will be like a section. But block is actually what I want, because block will show a range of samples. And each word has a start and an end. So it's going to be the block markers that are important. So let's see. Block. Yeah, like that. Const word markers. Okay. And down here, let's just return. Ian Constantine. It's been a while. It's been a while. I'm like trying to remember what we talked about and everything. Let me see. Doing pretty good. Now, if I remember right, I think you're living in Bosnia, and I think you did some web coding too. I think at one point, like React or Vue or something like that. Yeah. So before, when we talked, I was working in Unity. I was working on a game. I got the game released at the very end of last year. Now I'm doing web stuff. Well, I know which one sounds more fun to me. I think I would rather be a full stack web dev. there are aspects of, I mean, you know way more about it than me, but there are parts of the law that I do like. I've written so many contracts for myself over the years, which is, it's almost like a form of programming, writing a contract. Just a small business owner thing to be able to kind of copy and paste together a contract from other text and, you know, define terms inside of it, and yeah. But yeah, I'm just a lay person. I didn't take any real training with it, so you know a lot more. Yeah, I'm in the U.S. But there is that thing in contracts where you Oh, is it really? Like, is there some difference you could explain without a lot of work? I don't want to make you chat 5 pages on here. But I do find like a simple contract that isn't too full of crazy boilerplate, a little bit like a declarative programming language. You know, you define your parties, the people involved in the contract that will sign it. You have to define some exchange of value. You define the, you know, like the terms or the obligations of one party to the other. You write exception handling, just like a programming language. You say, like, you know, if any term of this contract is deemed inadmissible in court, it shall not prevent the rest of the terms of the agreement from being applied. You specify where the contract can be disputed, which is another form of error handling or exception handling. I find all kinds of parallels that way. I also like the idea that the law can be something that you could write on a napkin. Okay. Origins, jurisdiction, legal functions. Yeah. The jurisdiction stuff is interesting too, particularly like with international law. There's ways for like a law in one country to be enforced in another. Yeah. But yeah, I don't think it's inherently boring. I think there must be aspects of the law that are actually potentially kind of exciting. But I think most of the work that's available for someone who's a lawyer is not that interesting to me. But like the stuff like, say, Lawrence Lessig came up with, like Creative Commons, I thought that was really cool. That was an actual innovation in my mind. And it was an example of the law being something that you just give to everybody as a tool, as opposed to being something that, companies with lots of money, it's their tool and everybody else can go fuck themselves. Yeah. So here, I'll give you an example if you'll indulge me. This is going away from programming for a moment. So if I go to another question I posted on Ask Meta Filter, let's see. Okay. Here's the one that like really confused me. So there's this thing called GDPR, which is requirements for the European Union related to privacy. Now I went and read like some things, and the wording on different places made it seem like there could be some penalties to somebody in the U.S. Coming from the EU. Why does people in the U.S. need to comply with the GDPR? Suppose they don't have any office in the EU at all. Anyways, I'm gonna stop on that. I'm gonna go back to programming. I'm gonna go back. But what I learned is that it's like not technically like the laws of one country don't like extend to another, but there's practical reasons why in effect they do. Yeah. All right, let's see what we got. Sample rated, sample count. What happened? What happened last week? No, you just hit on a pet topic of mine. Oh, wait, okay. So you had like an accepted offer at one company, and then you decided to not join that company before your start date. Yeah, and you saw the policy book and it freaked you out or something? Like you're saying, screw it, I don't want this policy. Ah, wow. Yeah. Boy, I tell you, you're hitting a pet peeve of mine. So the order that it works in the U.S. and I'm sure a million other places is you sign the offer and they get ready for you to come onto the company. Then they give you all the extra stuff, like NDAs and assignment of intellectual property and the stuff you got hit. You got to do your own hosting and be responsible for data breaches. That stuff should be available to you before you sign the offer, in my opinion. The company that I currently work for and others have had like terms that they gave me right after I accepted the offer. They're just like, this is all part of the standard employment. This is a very standard NDA, very standard. They act like it's the most normal thing in the world, but they say ludicrous things. And I also have found that I can get companies to change them. But everyone thinks you can't. That's just like fancy lawyer magic. And there's no way you could ever disagree with, something their fancy lawyer sent you. And you can. You can say, I'm happy to come work for you, but I didn't know about this. Can you just please change this term here? And yeah, I hate it. I hate this kind of pushy bullying that companies, their legal departments do when you get hired on. They'll write non-compete stuff that wouldn't hold up in court. They'll write assignment of discoveries and intellectual property that come outside of the job. So like all the stuff that I'm doing right now with face animation and games and speech, I've got an addendum on my employment contract that says these are excluded from assignment of intellectual property to the company I work for. And the default should not be what they put. The default should be you own your own shit authored outside of work. For them to add that to the contract, they were going outside of what was actually permissible in the state that I work in. So it wouldn't have held up in court anyways, but they just put it there. They just put it there to bully, to hope they get something out of you. So, yeah, I hate that. The law belongs to everyone, not just billion-dollar companies. Well, that's a good thing about your background. You're not afraid to read a contract. A lot of people are. Good deal. Glad it worked out for you. Boy, that is a crazy clause. You're going to do all the hosting. You're legally responsible. Yeah, that's crazy. All right, let's nail this thing. Let's get this thing built. Okay, so what I need to do is add some block markers. But to start out, maybe I just won't add any markers. I'll make sure I can display everything without the markers. So this is okay for now. So let's do a to-do. Okay, that might do it. So this is React code. No, this is wrong. Word timeline. Should come from here. There we go. All right. See how well that compiles. Oh, cool. Next.js. I haven't used Next.js, but yeah. Let's see. Hold on. What is the thing it's still complaining about? Huh. SO web speech has no exported member word timeline extractor. That seems incorrect. That seems incorrect. Let me just try starting it again. See if it still says that. There. Okay. There we go. All right. So
Could you stay over here?
that's the audio. Now I want to see if I do find words. No, didn't work. So something happened. Something happened. I think. Let's make sure it gets to here, and it should. It really should. Okay, did not get there. Come up here. Oh. Unclick. No, that's not it. Okay, why did the execution not go up there? There's my extract. There's my unclick. Okay, so okay, that got there. Oh, I don't want to go in deep into the bowels of React. Okay. Okay, so this is getting called. Oh, I did a little typo in there. It's like a function to a function to a function. Okay, I can fix that. That's no big deal. Oh yeah, the old Drod games. Okay, so it did bring up the waveform. The width and height are not correct. So let's do something more explicit. We'll say width. Oh, 100%. Height. Let's see. 20 REM. Okay. Yeah, if you like logic puzzles that will break your brain and like almost an infinite supply of dungeon puzzles to solve, Drod is your heaven. Boom. I spent a decade and a half on that game. Or I should say series of games. Okay, so seems to be a styling thing. Oh, there definitely was in the 90s. So in the 90s, that was the golden age of id Software and Apogee and the shareware model. And they would give away like a third of the game as the shareware quote unquote demo. But like it was like a proper game that was released. They would give away like like 20 hours of playtime for free, and then you could pay to get 60 hours of playtime with more levels. And that basically was runaway success for them. A lot of people copied that model. Great time to be an indie game developer if you like solving hardware performance problems. Yeah. Because there were things like it wasn't straightforward to figure out how to get like smooth scrolling in a 2D game like Super Mario Brothers. And they had to figure out some hack for that. Or they didn't have 3D accelerated video cards, so they had to figure out like all these highly optimized magic algorithms for doing that work on low-end hardware. My stuff came out just a little bit past that time when all those very cool games were released, and it was with Drod, it wasn't like technically impressive at all, but it was still not embarrassing in any way. Yeah, I wonder, like when you set out to create that JavaScript engine, though, what year was that? Because now it might be a different scene. There's stuff like Crosscode, which is all Canvas 2D. And like the web canvas is hardware accelerated too. So you should be able to get decent performance for kind of a moderately complex 2D game now. Yeah. Okay, so styles canvas. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Waveform, styles, waveform. Let's be more specific about the width and height. Let's do 10 rem or 5 rem with 100%. Make sure this is right. Styles, canvas. There should be another one for waveform. Styles, waveform. That's right. Okay. So if I do this guy again. Okay. I don't know. It's doing this width and height in a weird way. Feel like that's going to be something I can fix by using a different class. So let's go to the Waveform Visualizer. Okay, so pass in the class name for the canvas. Okay, it is using that canvas, that my canvas component. This here. That's sized correctly. That seems okay. I don't know why the canvas width and height isn't coming from the div like it does for the face. I have some code that's a little bit tricky that just says whatever the size of the container div is, set the canvas width and height to match that. It worked for this guy. It did not work for this guy. So this seems sized correctly. It's a little small. Oh, I see. Because this other one's over the top of it. Still, the width and height is fucked up here. I wonder, is there some issue with having multiple canvases on one screen? I don't think there would be. Yank this guy just for the moment. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it would be weird if you couldn't have multiple canvases. I just wanted to rule it out. Okay, so that's not the cause. Let's put this back. Okay, so if I go to Waveform Visualizer, it calls canvas. Okay, so that's an example of code for it not working. Let's find the code where it does work. That would be back on app. Okay, this is the working code, split and move right. So here, pretty much the same kind of code. But is the callback being? Yeah, so the thing that I'm looking at as a potential cause is this function here is not being called, update canvas dimensions. So instead of explicitly setting the width and height of the canvas when I add it to the DOM, I'm relying on the container around it to grow and shrink by CSS rules, and then the canvas dimensions are supposed to be updated based on that div element. and they're not. So I want to see why that's not happening. Should be getting into here. Update canvas dimensions. It takes the container development. Okay. So what I can do is set a breakpoint. Okay, let's see. All right, so this one is for container. Okay, next dimensions. Yeah. Okay, so I think this one looks like it's working. But that is probably for the face as opposed to the wave. So if we set that. Okay, so it only got called one time for the face canvas. Is there anything in that use effect block that affects the size of canvas? Yes, yes, there is. So in the use effect block, there's a call to update the canvas dimensions. There's one for the mount, this mount here, and then there's another one. Not for this one. Let's see. Now there's another one. There's a place where I register an event handler on the screen being resized. Where is that at? I'm not seeing that. Where is it? There's a listener, right? Oh, here it is. Okay, resize. Okay, it's just a one-liner. That's why I missed it. So on the mount, I initially update the canvas dimensions. This is a use effect, so it'll happen after the first render. You'd say put the container as a depth. A container ref you'd put as a depth, because this container is coming from the container ref. Yeah, I think I know what you're saying. Yeah, but the issue with that though is container is defined inside of the use effect scope. So I don't think I would want to set container here because it's actually defined here. Like maybe the container ref, but I don't know if that would help me because I think container ref is going to get set one time. I mean, I could do something like put that there, then put container here and see if it changes. I just did that in the wrong place, but that's one way to do it. But the container dimensions is going to get updated here. So that's not, I wouldn't put it in the dependencies here because that would cause like a loop. Anyways, I'm changing this in the wrong place. But I'm going to do some more debugging to see what isn't being called. I'll turn off the face, and then I'll just have one canvas to worry about for debugging. It'll be easier to follow. So we'll take this back out. Okay, so that, and then let me set breakpoints in the places I care about. There should be in the mount, there should be this. There should be one where it gets past, it comes here. I also care about this add event listener. But I think if I just set this here, I'll be able to catch in your resize action. And then let's see this. Let's see what it actually does in this case. All right, so it just mounted the canvas component. Let's see what the ref is to the container. So I don't know why, but in Chrome I lost my ability to kind of mouse over things and would pop up debug info on it. I'm not sure why it stopped working. It's been that way for a little while though. Okay, so there's the corrective. Okay, so that's cool. Is initialized. Okay, so it's saying it's already initialized. Oh, there's my problem. There's my problem. This is a variable that's outside of the canvas. It's going to be shared between multiple components. So if this gets set by one component, the next component will see this is already being initialized and they'll say there's nothing to do here. That's almost certainly the reason. Since I removed one component though, I would expect it to do a little bit better. Let me see. Something's up, something's up, something's up. Because I've only got one canvas component, so why is initialized being true? It is a bug that I've got scoped here and I'm using it for two components. But since I removed one of the components, the canvas components, there's maybe a second bug. Is initialized is getting set to true. And there's only one place for it to show up at. This is the only place it would assign it to true. Execution never arrives here. Oh, I gotta click find words. That's one thing. Okay, okay. This is better, okay. So let's see what it thinks the dimensions are. Okay, that's good. So I just set the container dimensions. That'll cause a re-render. And it will get canvas width and height from those dimensions. So let's set another breakpoint here. That's cool, man. It's cool. I'm about ready to knock off about 10 minutes. Just FYI. Okay, so now the container dimension should be set. Canvas width. Okay, cool. So this should set. Okay, so those are still set. Okay, there it is. Okay, I got it. I know the bug. I know the bug. So the waveform is now drawn. That old code does work. It's just the first time that I tried putting two canvases on a page at the same time. And I'm sharing a variable between them that should not be shared. And the reason why I use this variable is because of this double call to use effect. But let me see what happens if I rework this so it doesn't rely on that. I do have this check for the container. That should cover the pre-mount issue already, so let me just try it without that. Find words. No, it didn't work that way. Okay. Put that back in, just to make sure it's not a fluke, that the change really does correspond with things not working. There's some timing stuff too. I don't think I'm gonna get this fixed in 8 minutes. Because when I set the breakpoint, it messes with the timing a little bit. All right, fella. Nice talking to you. I'll catch you later. Oh, wait a minute. I might have clicked on the button before it finished loading all this Vox stuff. So if that's what's going on, then let's take out is initialized again. And I can do something with this button on the app page. I can say oh, I don't even need that. Just say button disabled equals not is extractor ready. That'll do it. That'll keep me from clicking too early. All right, so now it's disabled. In a moment, it will be enabled. Yes? No? So weird. It's strange. Strange. So is extractor ready? Will get set to true here. There's a let up here. There's something weird about the scope of variables. Pocket. I'm just going to put it back how it was because it's not really the thing I feel like debugging at the moment. Put it back. Put it back. That's not the important thing. Okay. Just tell me. Okay, refresh. Load all the stuff down here. Find the words. Okay, that shit works. Now, let's put the face back in. Okay, that shit works.
Careful of the ice, ma'am.
Could you stay over here?
Okay, that all works. Now, got that bug out of the way. Let's keep going. So in the app, I've got something that says we're going to put our block markers in certain locations. So we say word timeline for each. Word timing. Okay. Cool. Okay. Say return. It's going to be a waveform block marker. That means what? Amplitude, to amplitude. Or is it a time marker I want? Yeah, it's a time marker. Okay. So not the block markers. Yes to the time markers. Okay, I don't think I did that right. I think it's like that. Okay. And then marker type. Marker type. Primary. Sample no. To sample no. I'll calculate those above. Description. Word timing. Word. I'll put that up above. Is background false. Okay. Up here, let's do const. Description. Not there. Down here. Okay. Description equals word time word. Const sample no equals. Let's put them on one place to start. 0. Const and sample no equals Let's see what that does. This is a 2 sample now. Okay. Yeah, I could make this a little bit larger too. Let's do 20 REM. I did not see description. Let's add description. Oh no, it was already there. I see. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So some sizing stuff and CSS stuff. That's not the most important thing to me. I would like to see the words up there. Out of time. Okay, sample no equals. Let me just see if I can just get this real quick. It's gonna be word timing, start time, divided by 1,000 to get seconds, and then times the sample rate. 2 sample no equals word timing, end time. Divided by 1,000 times the sample rate. I don't know why, but it's not showing the markers. It does kind of seem like I'm passing the right stuff here, but did I do anything to pass them along down here? Okay, so there should be some markers passed here. Okay, let's see what I got for my markers. Empty arrays. Okay, got it. So what does my word timeline look like? It's got stuff. So that just makes me think that next markers... Okay, there's some mistake up here. Create markers from timelines. Word timeline for each. Okay, play. Okay. Oh. Oh. I forgot to push it to anything. Oh, this is dumb. This is dumb. Okay, I can sort this. This is so easy. Okay, create. This is going to be ridiculous. Equals map. There, that'll do it. Yeah, okay. So then it's got all this crap. But let me... spread this baby out. Okay, could you stand over here? Okay. Now, whether or not that corresponds to the actual points in the wave where that word begins and ends, I couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you, but I have managed to mark that. If I increase the size of this a little bit, I'll be able to see these words better. Okay, but this is the end of my session. I got the thing done that I set out to do. And it's time for dinner. I'm a little late for dinner. That's all right. Okay. This has been an awesome session for me. Not as good as yesterday's, but still pretty good. Stopping the stream. Stopping the stream. Stopping it.